Hello, CNN. It's recorded, confessed, and demonstrated that and how they have your uses of isms involved with election crimes that came through administrations. And you guys, there's an article in the news. I believe it was CNN. Could have been on Facebook. Said president had a title. President's trying to discredit election. You guys already discredited the election when you're forcing president to take a relationship to isms. What's blaming the real causes of shooting and bad things in areas like the North End of Hartford is maintaining what's intercampuses criminally upon sustained each age of fact treatment nature in the North End of Hartford, using isms to blame it on other things, to make those people not be able to use correlations, natures, simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means to demonstrate what really caused motivations for roles with slavery. We have that pretended not realized and understood. And we have that really not understood and realized by recorded, effectively maintained that their science is physical delusions. For example, regarding these isms, how are we going to have an election that's fair with CNN crimes with agencies and with judges and with on and off campuses rights to lie used to brief the media to cover their own personal and criminal uses of identities of the ground? That's all they're defending. On a whole bunch of people with titles with prisons, with the state judicial branch offices, houses on off next campuses, next involved with database crimes, with a whole bunch of people tied to a Detective Dillon and a partner of his that in other police forms in the area, and their family members through time. I never had a conversation with the guy, nor his partner. The recorded confessed database crimes with people in classes I had, with the Crimax roles facilitated for them as victims, now as victim predators, needing to hide how they were used criminally on and off the state judicial branch offices, on and off the state prison office. I mean, the state prison offices, with people involved with database crimes at my school when I was growing up. Two Mendez police brothers in a Phil Cololo and other extended family members, like a Scalora family, all associated crime acts rules at each of the campuses I went to. And then as crimes facilitated with people inside the Trade Center attack context, Ninth Circuit, inside the Ninth Circuit, they had affected post-dated documents to be shown as appeared to be have been post-dated. They were post-dated to make them look they were as if they were filed late. But it was proven after they were filed on time, right before the Trade Center attack. From inside the court, someone had at some point post-dated the documents to appear late before the Ninth Circuit. Then the Trade Center attack happened. Other families associated with the Trade Center attack were associated first with federal criminals with crime rolls with them. This is how we have, through time, the FBI originally and still involved with a whole bunch of nations sharing police. C.I.A, a whole bunch of executive police forms, private with that, whole bunch of shared policing nations, criminal uses together here and there of locations of the ground, identities, and reactions to the jobs with that, all bridge factory in nature. So CNN is offensively going into elections criminally, preventing mandated law with the people pretending to be for it. They're using experts, only let realized natures of experts on types of things to defend that their roles with identities being used to further those same things. All they're defending is their relationships to jobs and what they don't understand. And they're relying upon what other people tell them. This is a databases racket that further does it, knows that's going to be described. So it also keeps crimes roles, people calling it fake data. They can't defend anything on paper. New Britain Superior Court, Hartford Superior Court recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involve criminal uses of people that all physical positions to make fact-cheating natures on mistakes on purpose. As the people involved with crime acts roles with houses next to schools, connected, facilitated to these crimes together. Criminal uses of fire departments involved through time with medical corruption, a whole bunch of nations at once. Military police, whole bunch of ties to Hawaii with Weathersfield, criminally involved, line of people with them, Church Street, the corner house, involved with database crimes at CCSU, and a line all the way there straight to the CCSU, involved with identity theft crimes. Confessions I didn't understand in the past. And when I tried, what I did and tried to do what I was obligated to do by the law, they're stacking, bad things against me and other people, fake lies. Judges recorded, confessed, and demonstrating using huge bonds and fake recorded things, forging names, switching names, crime acts roles, falsified police reports with various natures of police departments, various natures of cities brought in criminally. Fake arresting officer, switching names with various natures of police, all criminally using CCSU through time, including a whole bunch of East Hartford families, foreign and domestic police forms, associated on-off locations like around where they build airplanes. There are proofs that there were also pilots involved on and off CCSU, Trinity College, involved crimes with on and off campus, real or made up, untimely deaths connected to further criminal involvements with child sex offenders, such brought up to child sex offenders, and rape threats did. Tied to these courts also with name forging and switching tricks too, switching even the spellings of names and switching the people involved while they're stacking people that way. They're stacking names of people that had to be used that I never had anything to do with. In the past, like a Mike Kerr, they put him right near my locker for 1 second. Never had a class with him. Never saw him on the campus of middle school. Never saw him on the campus of grammar school. The only exception was after one time we played basketball when we were already out of grammar school. I never met him in grammar school. These are people that were sought me out to make confessions when I was a kid. Demonstrations, federal crime acts that New Britain Superior Court also recorded and confessed and demonstrated crime acts roles with them with. Pretending other at the same time as prison. They put 10 things in databases criminally so they could adapt through time. They're pretending for other reasons that are real. We have a whole bunch of people associated with people that did go to, that I did, like I never saw one time on campus, either one of the O'Brien brothers. I barely only saw them outside, and the only exception was one in first grade, or something like that, with Tim O'Brien, and that was confessed and recorded. That's involved with them, with a Gold family, and with crimes with people. A whole bunch of people facilitated criminal uses of the state capitol building, on and off locations next to it, for all the way from the FBI director, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, down. Involved crimes with kids with around locations I went everywhere I went. See, these are then they're keeping. We have directors involved with natures of crimes and methods of crimes and needs to hide them. These are people who were worse than criminal incompetence regarding what really was his justice corruption. What really is when they pretend that the news is going. Are they news? First, first they're cutthroats, cold, pretending that's just because they're news. Then they say, "Oh, have some compassion and stuff like that." I mean, while they're throwing up isms, they're preventing elections, but to be anything but criminal. They're sequence shift crimes using election laws that give the right to lie beyond regular police right to lie that are being used criminally before the elections. Now, outside of the elections, they're using the right. They're attaching lies to true crime. Say you have a right to do something, a right to lie. They're using that criminally. They're using it to right not to lie. They're doing it anyways because that was force needed by everyone in misprisioning victim predators originally and still. You can't pretend. Then they want to talk about the integrity. Well, the integrity. We're in a downhill spiral. That theater was just less sustained on the same nature that's going away. Not because they're individuals, but but through formal uses of individuals. That's the effects of individuals used formally by what's pretending to care against it. They have the schools of urban areas as a trap. They have the opinion natures. Consciously, they built them only capable of blaming the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, sustained needed reacting to. Everyone incapable of doing anything but blaming on others. So they're using isms to offensively pretend they believe in the integrity of fact treatment nature. That is, they believe that they should force a president to say white nationalism, attach those convictions to what they perceive. See, because they have physical delusions, but they're mixed with criminally foreign influence sciences, criminally foreign influence fact treatment nature, premise treatment nature, sequence treatment nature. The crime acts rolls with Mueller and with Comey treatments, with the fake news, criminally using fake news, right to lie, as long as that's what they're telling them. What they're using communications departments because they have to cover their lie progression. Some things are really crimes, and some things are crimes with it. They said they're really crimes too, but they're pretending, they're hiding some things and changing things because they're keeping their sustained shared policing hid. But it's sick here and there, and it's tied not just to proofs. For example, recorded like the zoning laws and the pathology and means to opinion natures in relationship to it, because that is recorded to the fact treatment nature, tied to the fact treatment nature, slavery and torture of our founders. Slavery. They're also recorded sick predators that would try to debate that by comparing them to the other slave, just the same way they would compare what they call an Uncle Tom, because this is also tied to why and how they put Harriet Beecher Stowe right here, where George Washington had to leave overt slavery in the North, right between New York and Boston. And they have the Harriet Beecher Stowe house and the Mark Twain house there. See Mark Twain and Harriet Beecher Stowe with the phrase with the label with the phrase Uncle Tom. In other words, supposed to be in other words, they make a quality of fact treatment nature all ways that they would make people defend fact treatment nature already set up. In other words, they're going to have the most sophisticated are going to demonstrate there's going to be different natures of sophistication. In other words, now they're going to have some guy more educated now because they didn't let others educated. But our nature is the same nature, which is inherently knowing, but it's having its sequence, true, inherent nature of order to logic, active nature of order, nature of volume, and progressive nature of order and volume relationship, obfuscated and worse for each. We had no one speak for logic but liars and with physical delusions. Psychology was with people with badges, also who are doctors of psychology and of logic. They're recorded with physical delusions wrought and criminally foreign influenced. Sciences, exploitation natures, also per roles with a whole bunch of methods perfected to keep this motivated through other interests, motivations, needs, even to pretend to themselves and to others that their motivations were other than they were when they do these things. And if they get caught, it already is designed to be to look like, because it actually is a whole bunch of juxtaposed interests. But the real motivating facilitator of it and furtherance of it was a motivation that kept even tribes A through Z not seeing it, missing all that too when they're gonna blame on other things, others themselves, and value that, how that is set up to be exploited. Life progression is tied to that. They have each position of the standing of the ground maintain roles with this, each age of fact treating nature. That was sophistication first. Then it kept and keeps all needed to highlight progressions already standing. It kept from off campuses and layers on and off campuses to stay in juxtaposed roles with this. We have police forms that mix in with the way regular police too, not just undercover with plain clothes. They put on badges. They forge and switch names. They switch identities, and when they have one guy with the name, but they'll get other people who use his name, even going out. See, in other words, to people's houses where they commit crime acts this way. Force. They have a whole bunch of people associated with a Scalora family recorded confessed with agencies, foreign and domestic crimes with child sex offenders, with houses on off schools, intercities involved with identity thefts with them, and with other relatives of a house in my area too that pretended they knew me through time. I don't know most of the people that Ray Cololo hung around with and Joe DeMoro from my grade. They're recorded and confessed involved with database crimes, with judges pretending other, because they influenced them as victims. That's where everyone was making confessions to me, because they were using. That's one thing they have in common that they need to lie about. But they, in other words, that I could say they all do commonly against everyone, which is criminal uses of the identity of the ground, sequence shifts, crimes, criminal uses of houses on and off the locations of the schools. Is also on and off the shared policing of stores like Stop and Shop. There's a Mike Levine also involved with the rest of the people with Fox Connecticut News with all natures of child crimes, and with doctors, foreign and domestic, all natures of drug crimes, formal and overt gangs drugs with them criminally, and with the sex offenders further criminally with their family members and their patients criminally involved with them, and with a person, one of the people tied to one of the mothers of one in my area, and the brothers of one and of one brother of one associated with the Stop and Shops with the rest of them, fire departments criminally involved. Other police forms in my area criminally involved with databases at my campuses. These are people crime acts roles on off the state judicial branch offices with WFSB federal crime acts clicks. Criminal uses of identity ground. They recorded and confessed. I attached my mother to crimes that she's recorded didn't do because they lied about her legal cases with federal criminals. They did that. That, in other words, and that's recorded. In other words, they rushed onto her. She had no communications with them. She made no comment. WFSB pretended they perceived things. They were already recorded and confessed involved with crimes against her. She's not going to start fights with them. They're starting fights with people on purpose with child sex offenders. WFSB and Fox Connecticut News, people associated with this Jack Heitner, harassed me, begged me to just to make these kind of confessions. No words. That's what it ends up the result of it. They have criminal uses of these people. People tied to him in intercities through time. These are people crime acts roles with a whole bunch of media, military, foreign, and domestic. Taylor Swift, I had to use her name. I'm sorry, Taylor Swift. I had to, because these are police forms that are interstate. These are interbranch actors with Connecticut that they already, then they're going to go these, they're criminal uses of the other interstate locations, standing reaction natures that that are in love with identities and defenses of it through what they hear. What they pretend has integrity, they know has no integrity. Now, I'm not police from not a criminal. I want to keep it that way, but I'll tell you, I learned It's not because they're trying to go against recidivism. They're trying to make people be afraid of jail. Those jails are involved with crime methods, identity theft rackets. Whole bunch of people with a Casper family. I checked Casper. I forgot his sister's name. I never had a conversation with either of them. Besides a nonverbal one, they 2 times they recorded confessed involved crime acts roles with people with the downtown Hartford with identity thefts. These are people crime acts roles with the old Weathersfield Church Street, that corner house, and then all the way up from there to spots all the way to CCSU / Paul Manavore Drive. Them crime acts roles facilitated identity theft crime acts even with Russians, and then pretending to be against it with the same media outlets involved because they're criminality with databases, wire crime method roles. They're being coached Fox CT to database crimes, identity thefts. They're lying about behavior and about their opinions about our behavior with experts on behavior involved with Facebook, involved with fake YouTube pages pretending to be me. Also, them having recorded themselves with the nature of that. For example, say Radim Al Mansour's new lover, and they have a picture of me they stole from the fake news, involved with people that were criminally involved with the Trade Center attack. Also recorded and confessed federal crimes with WFSB, with locations on off their location, foreign and domestic police forms, military families, foreign and domestic, facilitating. They don't even know what the extent of what they confess, what they do. I don't care who influenced it. They're in the background. They don't understand because they don't even know what I'm talking about. When they do, they know they have to lie because we have interbranch family members with crimes with areas with offensive evidence reception crimes. Same with FBI through time pretend to perceive things with filming things. They're proving things that are not even real in cases. They're recorded demonstrating how they're doing it against each age of fact sheet nature. They're tying little kids to fake relationships to doctors. They're tying little kids to fake relationships to others. And all kinds of interstates, maintained criminally foreign influence and maintain intercities criminal foreign influence roles with lie progressions in a constant way, needing and valuing. Constantly means to get over by one needing to value just defenses of titles sickly and non-defenses of titles sickly too. The forgiveness was for this because we have criminally foreign influenced legal nature, advice, left, valued. That's why we have training ill. That's why the training's ill, because no one, other identities of law, criminally foreign influence, crime acts roles, like investing people to use election crimes, election laws that allow right to life out of election cycle. Just constantly lying and constantly knowing they're lying in collusion with what makes and keeps that wrong outcome in courts. Recorded needing to hide the same finite, progressive, active, and progressive and identity theft crime acts with their worst criminals, with their uses of their value treatments of the areas of each identity of the ground, let alone us. So we need mandated law followed. And this is where the power is, mandated law. See that they're also recorded confessed crimes with medical companies associated with advertisement crimes with the networks involved criminally with that. Like Connecticut Lighting or something like that is the name of it. We're associated with the Fienza family, associated with interbranch police forms criminally, foreign and domestic police forms military, sexual circles involved with on off the state judicial branch office criminally, drug crimes roles with child sex offenders, with identity theft crime acts roles with them, offensive evidence reception crime acts roles with them, tied to that. Then they need to hide their lie progressions because they were lying about values in cases formally. They have no integrity. These are victims raised to it the same way the gangs are. They never had a chance. Those gangs were in collusion with interbranch private, a whole bunch of nations sick here there, sickly distinctly to keep how sickly non-distinctly from being discerned since semi-ancient times. Not one has learned. This just reminds. The Old Testament and the Quran are about organized crime. They're not be that's not being let counter or voiced per sensibilities only to the defense, you know, of what they need, of what other people tell them. So that's why we need fake news countered. The fake news is involved with a whole bunch of juxtaposed, and they pretend to be against what they're for. CNN is the ones recorded saying that the election is devaluating the election because they're saying, for not just the isms, but I'll tell you something though. Before those isms, they knew that what made this pretended jobs and things like that are the problems. Why there's the problems? Those are jobs unworthy. People with no car and stuff like that in Hartford, Connecticut, New York City on a mass scale. Then everyone goes, they're going to go to a job to work. That's not, in other words, this is not a free system. They have capitalism and communism and collusion. They have socialism and collusion, criminal collusion, isms. They're preventing the law from being defended originally and still by preventing free speech and by maintaining alter roles with identity thefts, pretending it's personal reasons. Pretending it. That's recorded for their sequence shifts. That shows a whole bunch of simultaneous natures of impositions. On a mass scale, the Justice Department was invested to breaching organized crime roles originally and still. Obama, if he had free speech, Trump, if he had free speech, there would not be poverty in Hartford and New York City. There's a quality of free speech and a theater forced, respected. It's pretending that we can't read their minds because they're sequence shifting. They're offensively pretending they can read our minds by pretending things are recorded and aren't. These are evidence racket roles, foreign and domestic maintained. Whole bunch of people associated with former Dean Judd, associated with CCSU, Tungus College, Trinity College, UConn, used criminally crime acts through time. A whole bunch of people's names used for that criminally against me, but facilitated due by interbranch crime acts rules with the people involved, with on off the ages of those campuses with child campuses criminally, with their databases. These are people, a whole bunch of people involved with two Memphis police, a whole bunch of people involved with Robert, no, Mike Roberts. I barely know him. I only know him in context, recorded, confessed, and demonstrate he's involved criminally with identity thefts, clicks, with DACA, foreign and domestic clicks, crimes with judges, foreign and domestic clicks, crimes with state police, interstates with them, crime acts with people involved with F.B.I. criminally, federal criminals at the same time. From former director of the F.B.I. and his crime action roles with a co-defendant who had a daughter migrated, involved with a whole bunch of people criminally involved now with the principal sex offender. And he had two other co-defendants like a Thaddeus Grabowski and a guy named, I read this stuff a while ago. a guy and his family member that lived in New Britain, in Newington, with Eric Jensen, also recorded and confessed involved with crimes with a whole bunch of judges and stuff like that, people associated with FBI criminally, with military families criminally involved. Per them, these are people with KKK, Confederate flag themed crimes with Wethersfield police, with locations on Church Street criminally involved with them. The corner house on Church Street in Maine. That's right around where George Washington came from. What is now the Webb House / Webb Stevens House. From there, take a right, go to the Old Town Cafe, recorded and confessed involved with a whole bunch of people with Trinity College with identity thefts, criminal uses of their databases, criminal uses of their name, of my name, with a whole bunch of people associated with the lawyer, the location of the lawyer of former director of the FBI, and the 3 federal criminals associated with other federal criminals associated with those cliques. These are people involved with a whole bunch of crimes with houses on and off Two Rod Highway. Fianza family was also obligated to tell the house that moved from there about their involvements with criminality with houses next to them. Also recorded with crimes with houses in my area, even though I never saw them in my area. These are people involved with identity theft crime acts, people with crimes on and off the state judicial branch offices, crimes with Wethersfield Pizza, and with the Olivieri family down the other end from the street from the state judicial branch offices. Their criminal rolls with spots at the end of that bridge on the other side of East Hartford, on locations on near the on and off and related to the policing of the building of those planes. Pratt and Whitney, things like that. They have standing fact cheating natures. Everyone originally still standing criminal and seditious natures in relationship to their ability as fact cheating nature where it counts. Not just where it counts putting the right screws in, things like that. Where it counts countering how they keep Nave here and there. Worse than negotiated with terrorism. And means to keep that hid. Because everyone's too many names, too many ways, can't defend that and do anything but rely on the mutually assured destruction, the torture and counter torture, till everyone stays that. Those needs for the counter torture and torture are maintained by the breaching method that has us like puppets, the identity of our nations. If Donald Trump or if Barack Obama had free speech, if any of the presidents before them had free speech, they would say, "Whoa, there are too many people at once. There are not enough jobs, and the jobs there aren't worthy of the people." If they said that, they would be ripped from office by sick people. We have sick premise treatment natures, pretending offensively, criminally, that they believe the president should take a position against an ism, nationalism, knowing that they're brief. They know that their databases are involved with lawyers and police forms that are dishonest. That dishonesty, pretending not realizes, was his inclusion with criminal uses of the locations they're covering, with the topics they're covering in the news, tied to crime acts roles with that location, that corner house, with the people with, and then the house on Church Street is involved with CCSU crimes, the other day Yukon criminally through time. Other campuses I went to, other identities of campuses used per the being used for summer school classes used criminally because they're keeping fact cheating nature roles with or identity stolen by. Everyone's identity stolen. These are sick groups. These are people that are being used by courts to spread rumors and stuff like that. They're trying to keep sensibility natures too embarrassed to talk about things. They're keeping things too. In other words, this is a method that made that cultivated that, exploiting a base propagated for that. This is how they have theater like directors, like those the identities of those motion picture companies, criminally foreign influenced. Samuel Jackson, they reported him. I put the link on my Facebook page. Knocking the president. See, these are tools like with the isms. They need what's intercampuses stealing the identities of everyone in databases. Samuel Jackson's a puppet for psychology. He's dishonest with himself and with others. He's with physical delusions. He's with news forcing isms, valuing prop punk, fake treatment, fact cheating nature, relationship to needed quality of fact cheating nature, quality counters. To all that left entrenched, sick, incapable of being defended, and also at the same time, the Constitution stands abridged. And that's maintained, blamed on other things, causes things themselves, like isms, white nationalism, that was used by white and black nations, agencies, sophistication before we were, before they were sophistication. This was from semi-ancient times. It's just your minds. We've had no legal representation many ways. That's recorded. That's recorded when they justify the pathology of things. Now that we have cars, even before cars, they tried to build out of the unsafe, semi-unsafe, toxically denatured relationship to nature. Then they worked, and everyone was a slave. Our fact cheating nature slave founders want their free speech told. It's worse than criminal incompetence and delusions rot what pretends that our founders had free speech just because they put up the surface value of the Constitution. Our founders wanted to demonstrate how they had to hide the extent of their roles even to the other founders. James Madison. He had to force them to roles. Think they had all the courage in Boston. No. That was engineered courage. No one has had anything but engineered, maintained, effectively maintained, originally entrenched and stayed entrenched uses of what's entrenched. Database relationships. Not one person had one logic treatment nature capable of defending themselves and us at the same time. There are all kinds of sick rackets with psychology, sociology, types of experts furthering what they're supposed to be against, like physical delusions, like criminality. You know how much criminality we have with courts and prisons? What are they going to do? What kind of excuse are they going to make to prevent actual reality from being reported and demonstrated? They pretend to be against recidivism, so they're about acting for those reasons. They're lying everywhere there is a law that says they have the right to lie. It's already recorded criminally foreign influence. In other words, they're already using it for what they don't have the right because they're lying about other lies. They're framing people in courts. They're using those courts and juries. People don't even get juries. People get the judge. Well, they're not getting a fair shake because they have those judges involved crimes with areas with the police forms. The branches individually grouped and together are maintained misprision. Whole bunch of liars, criminal uses of databases, criminal uses of the identity is the ground in relationship to that, all formal state lie progressions, all formal states standing line progression cover up natures. It's not debatable but the extent of it. And they're debating things offensively, criminally, pretending to believe about isms. It's about time we had the physical delusions inter-science demonstrated, criminally foreign influenced and juxtaposed these physical delusions. Because everyone's hearing this. Everyone's seeing the theater of pseudo positive. Everyone's victim, but they're forcing people to be claimed predators. Short of letting, they're making the various natures of courts originally and still are preventing mandated law criminally. To show how to counter that, we have to be able to report them. To show that, we have to show how the recorded, the police forms in their police departments grouped are also and individually criminally used by them, by other police forms. Already used Weathersfield Police criminally through time. A police chief years ago involved criminally with the same houses, involved with their extended family members, with the Trade Center Predicate Act rolls, with this Leahy family, with a whole bunch of people with the Britain Superior Court, through time criminally with databases, people associated with Mendez brothers criminally. Let's go. People associated criminally with DeMorrow brothers and with Kerr brothers, and with a whole bunch of people associated with West Farmers Mall. WFSB is right now involved with They've been broadcasting from West Farmers Mall on a state basis because there are people involved with child offenders in West Hartford. See, these are medical people involved with psychology, foreign and domestic families, whole bunch of nature, foreign and domestic military, criminally involved together, whole bunch of private things you can't defend and us at the same time. They use line progressions. Whole bunch of campuses involve crimes with them. Whole bunch of people with UConn involved criminally with Weathersfield interbranch family members, intercities through time, crime acting with them, spreading lies with them, with fake news, attaching truths, lies to truths, sequence shifting, making all conform roles with it, criminal uses of all they need to keep. They can't prevent, they can't, hid for their criminal uses of all that with on off locations like Pratt and Whitney, on off UPS involved criminally. Before I went there, it's not even, it was recorded and confessed. So it's not even debatable. They need to lie about my behavior with sequence shift. I gave them warnings. I do it now too. I want the judge. We need the judges taken care of here. The people that interbranch, criminal uses in the north end of Hartford, the roles they conform to exploited people like Black, like Lori Milner. Recorded confessed criminal uses by various natures of courts involved with this Oliveri family, with child offenders of all natures of it. Now, these are people that use their own kids for it because they're being used as names are their other little rat mobs. These are Justice Department rackets rolls, intercities. Then what are they going to do? They pretend they believe it's about things like color. It's about isms. Oh, we don't know why the shootings. These people are tactically pseudo-educating areas per their time impositions on the kids when they're young, per their impositions upon the parents who never had a chance because their intercampuses were involved with off-campuses maintained sustained crimes against them. That's why there are shootings in the north end of Hartford. And that was covered up per their uses of the people portraying jobs with evidence reception and then defenses of their fact treatments natures like that. Types of experts are being used to further those types of exploitations of those types of crimes used to breaching screen tools. No integrity with each position of formal fact treatment nature. None. So respond to mandated law. Who disbelieves? Have them stop the forging names, switching names, interbranch, criminal crime acts, roles and cases, criminal uses of judges by judges of interbranch family members, criminal uses of CCSU. Then crime acts roles with the briefing of media, leaving that out. So Mike Roberts, a whole bunch of people recorded and confessed crimes with DACA people associated with places in Rocky Hill associated with streams stayed CCSU, crime acts uses of database clicks associated with that, media with fake news crime acts. Beyond that, not in life, then they have to hide it by discrediting and valuing the discredited people they're stealing the identities of, telling lies about because they did in the past. Now they need to kind of those lie progressions by pretending things in sustained ways against people. You say, why don't you just go to the campus and complain about this? Because they sought me out to make confessions. Why would they confess that? Because they also forged names and switched names. So they're communicating with me like punks because these are people involved with crimes with a whole bunch of courts involved with crime acts leading up to a 2006 case as crime acts rolls in it with people that were also crime acts intercities intercampuses leading up to and in the trade center attack context. Since I was a little kid, these are people crime acts rolls each of the campuses I went to with connected crime acts cliques as the ones next to houses next to the locations, all connected. Whole bunch of people recorded and confessed with Trinity College involved with drug crimes with them growing up, where they have that involved uses of sensibilities, where they're exploiting measured relationships to databases, using that for their identity theft crimes, their crimes and cases, their crime rolls with judges, using databases, crime rolls with databases, with drugs, with kids, as through crime methods rolls through the people only let realize counters to it. Also associated with the shared policing with the internation, shared policing like of Stop and Shop, you know, West Farmers Mall, Buckland Hills Mall, places on off these locations criminally involved. The policing, people of the policing of them and the investigations of the policing criminally involved. Foreign and domestic military police, policing of insurance companies involved personally criminally with a park near West Farmers Mall, involved with people with WFSB criminally involved, recorded and confessed. They recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they have people associated with locations near Munson's Chocolate. One woman recorded, confessed, demonstrated she was facilitated the crime acts rolls with them with this because these are people involved with interbranch Facebook identity theft, spreading lies and illusions. Their criminally crime rolls with the areas, uses of the Facebook for crimes with child sex offenders, rape threats, New Britain Superior Court. Then they hid that with crime acts and cases, forging names, switching names, putting falsified police reports, whole bunch of narratives from pretending they make mistakes, put a whole bunch of different officers switching narratives, different arresting officers from different towns with the same falsified police reports rolls that way. How can all these different towns have the same rolls with the same arrest? Because they weren't even all there. They have like chicks to they have crime method rolls like that. They had Officer McDonald's from East Hartford come with a promise to appear and give it to my mother. And he did that. That was his recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by people tied to him. Crime acts rolls with his family, his daughter, other people with CCSU involved with the quote intelligence community. Recorded, they use that to pretend they have integrity they know they don't have. They only have integrity in relationship to contrast. and their time treatments and relationships to the jobs, there are not enough of because of that. That's used to keep not one of them capable of speaking for organized crime counters while they're in collusion with and as those natures. So we need mandated law followed now and fast and hard. This is Positive's course. Criminal uses of the sensibilities of the campuses from off campuses for the FBI and the CIA and the judges for their crime acts roles recorded criminally using the identities of the ground. Crime acts roles with a whole bunch of people from my town that pretended to know me, and they made exceptions where with some cases that are true. I do know them, all criminally exploited, like the Olsen brothers, recorded and confessed through time with their family members involved by others and themselves involved crimes with judges and with state police and foreign and domestic military overt criminal enterprises, database crimes clicks, interstates, crime acts roles with criminal justice campuses of each age, intercities crime acts roles, identity theft crime acts roles. Same ones facilitated to it, whole bunch of people through the same house slash S in my area. Crimes also with many federal criminals tied to and as the federal criminal co-defendants or former director of the FBI. Crime acts rolls with them on and off Trinity College, on and off CCSU with them through time. Sequence shifts show it. They use whole ages for sequence shifts in their narratives where they're attaching people as adults and as young adults to fake locations. They did it when they were younger than that. Attach everyone to fake locations. They have they have families that live near schools. They live near religious locations. Every difference of the ground is exploited in relationship to what they need to hide their life because originally still. They need to keep each identity of law as a role within as a nature. There's only capable they need to offensively fight to defend the means to be able to lie and get away with it in life when they need to have disputes with other people. They're recorded needing to start fights with people criminally because the courts need the wrong outcomes with them. These are prison cliques recorded how they maintain needing to types of experts with them recorded needing to hide their same physical delusions, their same criminal foreign influences. They need to hide their actually recorded crime methods. With judges, various natures of courts know they never really had. They know they never had integrity. Look at our elderly homes. Look at Hartford, Connecticut. Look at the people stacking in New York City. Don't blame it on other things. Focus. This is because we never had real science. We have job people, victims needing to have an income, while at the same time we have people with no income and people with not being valued by the income they have. Can't blame that on the employers. This is formal. These are formal, here and there fake sides, shared here and there, criminally involved with our areas, with our states, self-valuing roles with that, victim predators. We have mandated law. Let positive science heard now.